Hi guys, had a bit of time, the weather's not particularly nice, so I thought I'd just quickly share a few quick tips on a few things that I've been looking at. As you'll have seen on a previous video, this is the Avant Leggero S4 Superlight Extreme Edition, which I absolutely loved. I thought it was a great frame. So just out of curiosity, while I'm waiting for my 3-inch frame to turn up, I decided to have a play around with a few things. Now, if you're making a Superlight, obviously the clue is in the title. You want it to be as light as possible. So there's always a sacrifice to be made somewhere along the line. So I had a few components lying around that I wanted to try out, just really to see how they would work and make it a little bit easier when my 3-inch frame arrived. So the first quick tip is, if you want to save a lot of weight really easily, use a runcam Swift Micro. They weigh about 5.5 grams as opposed to the 15.5 to 20 grams of a normal CCD Xero R3 or runcam 2 camera. So you can easily shave off 10 to 15 grams straight away just by using one. And all I needed to do to use it on this frame is just reverse the camera plates. So usually the little screw holding the camera in would be sat here, and all I did is turn them around, and then all I've done is run slightly longer screws and put a little plastic spacer or washer between the camera, and then next to that I've just used a silicone O-ring, which I sometimes use as soft mounts. So it's really easy. All you need is, this will work probably on any frame, to be honest with you. All you need is a slightly longer screw, plastic spacer, and something just to give it a bit of vibration. So straight away you've saved 10 to 15 grams off your quad. The other thing, all my Superlights so far have run full-size flight controllers, but the quickest way to shave weight is to use a 20 by 20 flight controller, and the one in this one is the XJB 20 by 20 stack, which it comprises a 25 amp 4-in-1 ESC BL-HELIS BB2 chip, and then on top a F4 board with the Betaflight OSD that everybody loves so much. So basically in that little stack you've got everything that you would get from the DUI SF4 and maybe a Racer Star 20 amp 4-in-1 ESC. The big difference is this whole unit weighs 6.5 grams for the components, and if you compare that to a DUI SF4, that alone weighs nearly 12 grams, and a 20 amp 4-in-1 ESC of a standard size, you're going to be looking at, well, 20 grams with the wire, but that's not a fair comparison, probably 11 or 12 grams without the wire. So you're looking at, if you compare this stack, which weighs 6.5 grams, to a normal stack that I've got in my other Superlights, you're looking at a difference of probably 15 grams straight away. So you probably save between these two different components possibly 30 grams, something like that, which is a huge amount, and it's a really quick way of, if you've got a frame that you really like and it doesn't currently run those components, it's a really quick way to take off some weight. If you look at these 20 by 20 ESCs on Banggood or whatever, you see a lot of people complaining that they use M2 plastic screws, and that's absolutely fine. People are on a lot of these little boards you can't use metal screws, and people are concerned that M2 screws are not a good way to mount them. Personally, I think that's rubbish. These things weigh absolutely nothing, and M2 plastic screws are absolutely fine to hold it in. However, this was just me messing around. What I'd probably be tempted to do when I build this properly is just get rid of these bottom plastic spacers and just soft mount the whole thing on some double-sided 3M foam tape, which I've used in the past before quite successfully, and it'll reduce the height of the stack, give you some damping vibration, and then basically all you need to do is run the M2 screws up from the bottom of this 4-in-1 ESC, and then add these spacers on top, which makes it really easy. If you're looking to do a similar thing, I'd be careful about buying these particular boards. I bought this one on a bit of a whim from Banggood. It was on offer. The whole thing cost, I think, 40 quid, which is a decent price. 20 quid for the flight controller, 20 quid for the ESCs if you break it down, which is fine. If you break this, you're going to be in trouble because the whole thing is mounted, or should I say connected, and the reason why it's so light is there are pin connectors here. If you can see, there are pin connectors here, so basically you don't have any wiring running from the 4-in-1 ESC to the flight controller. It's just basically pin connectors and one clips onto the other, which is why it's so light. But the downside of that, on this particular flight controller, there are no signal pins. So if you ever brought the flight controller, you're going to have to buy the whole thing again because they don't seem to sell these components separately. And that is one of the downsides of this. You can buy 20 by 20 4-in-1 ESCs. I think there's a Racer Star Dark Edition 18 amp, and you can buy mini F4 boards, so that might be something to look into, just to give yourself a bit of future proofing if you have a crash. But essentially it makes a really small stack, and I'm running this on this dry build. Or I say dry build, it's got everything bar an XM Plus receiver and the motors. On this particular build, I'm running my favourite DYS MI200 receiver, which is adding quite a bit of weight, and obviously a normal Pagoda antenna, which is the Emax stubby version. So that's adding quite a bit of weight. If you wanted to run extremely light, then you can just run the Banggood VTX03 or even a VTX02, which weigh a couple of grams, and will save 5 or 6 grams again. But if we just look at this in terms of weight, we've got a battery strap on as well. We're coming in. Oh, let this calibrate itself. We're coming in at 88 grams. You won't be able to probably see that. So this build so far is 88 grams. On top of that, we would need to add an XM receiver, which is a couple of grams, and we would need to add the motors, and the motors generally weigh about 14.5 grams. So if you call it 15 grams, 60 grams for motors and an XM receiver. So if you add let's say it's 90 grams for the build, it's 88 grams, another 60 grams for the other bits and bobs we're missing, you're looking at a build weight of about 150 grams, which is really, really light, and that is running obviously the heavier transmitter. If you got rid of that and put in the VTX02 or the VTX03, you'd be looking at a build possibly of about 145 grams. So crazy light, and a thing to look out for. And as I said, the main thing is just don't be afraid of using 3M foam tape to mount your ESCs to the bottom plate. It works absolutely fine, and it'll save you a lot of hassle. So that's that. This is not something I'm actually building. I was just playing around with the components that I'm going to put in the Avant Xero S4M frame that I've got on the way. The other thing just to quickly talk about is, if like me you have been waiting for the Armway Commander V2 or V1 goggles, basically updated ones, for months and months and months, you're probably getting sick of waiting, and I did. And what I bought instead were the Skyzone, I think they're VO2 S V Plus edition, basically the one that does 3D. Although in this case I didn't bother buying the 3D camera to go with it. But these are a really good set of goggles. They've got built-in diversity receivers, you've got a spectrum analyzer inside, an on-screen display which allows you to scan through the channels and see which is the clearest channel to run on. They've got built-in head tracker, so you don't have to pay for that if you're into fixed wings. And the image quality is really good. The downside on these, and the reason why they're not more popular, is they don't have a fan, which if you live in a cold damp environment, or when you fly you've had a bit of a hike and you're sweaty, you can get fogging on your goggles, which is really annoying. So what I did is simply just add a Fat Shark faceplate to it. And there's various videos online about this, but I couldn't see it for this particular model. The other thing is, I've always shied away from these type of goggles because I'm a glasses wearer, and I was never really sure whether I'd be able to get away with putting lenses in them or not. I bought these on the back of trying out my brother's Dominator V3s, and I kind of looked at them and thought I could probably get away with those even if I wasn't wearing my glasses. So anyway, I bought these. In terms of a quick review compared to the Dominator V3s, which are the closest competitor, I suppose, I haven't tried the Commanders, so I can't really comment on that. The image in these is much better than the Dominator V3. The picture itself is a little bit better, but the major thing that I found is when you're using the Dominator V3s, it feels like you're sat in, I suppose, an empty cinema and the screen's quite away from you, which, there's nothing wrong with that, but it makes it slightly less immersive. The picture quality was really good on the Dominator V3s. What I found on these, or that sort of sense of distance away from the screen is a lot less. Clearly they don't have the same sort of screen size of a box goggle, and you still can look at the screen without moving your eyes around too much, but the screen feels closer than it did on the Dominator V3s. So anyway, what I did is, first off, I'm a glasses user, and all I did is 3M tape some old glasses lenses inside, and fitting the Fat Shark faceplate was really easy. All you need to do, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this, in the goggles themselves there are basically lips which run around the lenses, which is what the Sky Zone faceplate clips onto. All you need to do, and I don't know if you'll see this, is cut little holes there, and that one's better to see, there, and all I did is use my my solder iron to melt, and what that does is it allows you to push them in and clip them onto the lip. What you also need to do to get them to fit properly is, this part here is quite a thick material, and the front of it is convex, concave, whatever, it sticks out, and you just need to get a craft knife and shave some of that material off until it gives you a flush fit at the front. It took me about 20 minutes to do that, and all I've done then is clipped it on and put a little bit of 3M foam tape beneath the fan just to give it a little bit of extra security. But as you can see, that it's not coming off, it's stuck on really nicely. The only problem that I've had, the Fat Shark faceplate comes with 2 thicknesses of foam, and you'd be better off using the thinner one because it brings you closer to the screen. What I find using the thicker foam, I get a little bit of rounding on the edges of the picture because the Fat Shark faceplate is pushing the goggles further away from my face. And the reason why I've had to use the thicker one is because my lenses are sat quite a way over the Sky Zone lens. If I use the thinner one, it feels like my eyes are brushing, or should I say my eyelashes are brushing my glasses lenses. So what I'll probably do at some point is just shave a little bit of this foam off, and then that will sort it. The other option is basically just to cut 5mm off the top and bottom of my lenses, and then I can sit them behind the faceplate surround. But either way, but the perk of doing this, the Fat Shark Dominator V3s are the cheapest I could find them for in the UK, or even anywhere actually for that matter, was 320 quid, and they don't come with any receivers. So to upgrade them to diversity receivers, you'd probably have to spend at least another 40 quid, and to get really good ones, possibly a lot more than that. They do come with a battery, but the battery is pretty poor. It doesn't last too long, and most people upgrade that, so that's neither here nor there. So these cost me 270 quid on Banggood. They came with the diversity receivers. They do have included the head tracker, which the Fat Shark Dominator V3 doesn't have. It's an additional 20 or 30 quid. and this faceplate cost me £25. So for 295 quid I got everything I wanted, and I've ended up with a pair of goggles that I really like. They're really light, they're really comfortable. I've now got a built-in fan and it fits perfectly. The only thing on these ones, I get a little bit of light leakage here. Now when I'm flying I don't notice it at all, because you only really see it if you look up, which I'm not doing when I'm flying. But if it became an issue, all you need to do is just stick a little bit of foam or a little bit of I suppose electrical tape or whatever you want along there. It's only a little bit, but it'd be really easy to cover up. Anyway, so that's what I did. It works really easily. You don't have to cut or do anything to the actual sky zones themselves. And because I don't like the Sky Zone comes with two head straps, the normal around your head one, and it also comes with one which goes over the top, which I noticed the Armway Commanders have also introduced as well. And I don't really like those, so all I've done is added on a diving mask head strap back, which cost me I think £3 from Amazon. And that makes it much more comfortable and holds it on your head better. So if you can't get hold of the Armway Commanders, definitely have a look at this. It's a 20-minute job, and you end up with a really good set of goggles. Whether they're better than the Armway Commanders, I don't know. I haven't tried them. From some of the reviews I've seen, the Sky Zones have a better image quality than the Armway Commanders, and the Armway Commanders, there seems to be a few issues around quality control, but as I said, I have no idea. I've never tried them. So yeah, thought that would be useful for somebody. Any questions, give me a shout, and otherwise hopefully soon I will be building my 3-inch quad. And what I'll do when I've built that is I'll take it apart and just give a walkthrough in terms of how I built it, how I set it up, etc., and we'll see how it does. Cheers guys, thanks, bye.